Hey everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're playing with Neat and Tangle's Wild Ones. Love this stamp set. The images are big, they're bold, they're so fun to color. So let's get started. We're going to be using some VersaFine ink on some Bristol Smooth cardstock. And here you see me try to flip it and be cool. Something like Tom Cruise in Cocktail, and I get ink all over my fingers. But that's all right. We're going to go ahead back to the card and we're going to stamp it. Now we are going to stamp it twice because I didn't get a crisp image the first time. So I'm inking it up again. Now this is very juicy ink. I try that fanciness again. I don't get ink on my fingers. I must be getting better. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that down using my MISTI tool. And once that's finished, I am going to show you how I take off some of the ink from my stamps before I clean them. So you see that paper, just some copier paper. Then I'm going to use my stamp chamois. And that's because I don't need to add additional ink to my chamois. If you saw my recent videos, you saw my old chamois. It was ridiculously covered in ink. So I'm going to try to be a little bit better steward of my stamp chamois. Here I am putting some clear embossing powder over my images, and I'm using my Wagner heat tool to get those images nice and melted and ready to go. I like a little canal in my coloring, and so that is why I did that. Okay, so I am going to color my images. To skip, you can go to 506, and I'm going to be using some Arteza water brush markers. So Arteza real brush markers. I love them. They are definitely comparable to the Zig if you have those. If you don't have any real brush markers, I would have to say of all coloring mediums, this has to be my favorite. Now, listen, you can ask me what my favorite dessert is, and I'm going to tell you it's anything with bananas. That doesn't mean I don't like a piece of chocolate cake. Okay, so let's keep it in context. I absolutely love all mediums, but if you're asking my favorite, it's definitely the real brush markers, whether they be the Zigs or the Arteza. And you're asking yourself, why? Why, Mary, is that your favorite? Well, I will tell you. It is because as you watch me color these images, I can color and get a shaded look or a dimensional look or a multicolored look in a fraction of the time that I do with colored pencils or with alcohol markers. So that is why I like these markers. I can put down some color in where I think the shading might be, and then I could pull it out with a brush, a water brush. You can use multiple colors, you can blend multiple colors together, and I think that's fun too, and I do that as well. You'll see me do it on the balloon for the monkey. But I love how I can just get to the coloring faster and it looks good. So if you do not have any color mediums that offer dimension, well, that's not true. You can pretty much get shading with almost anything. But if you are wondering about the real brush markers and you're curious about them, I would say the Artezas, compared to the Zigs, their quality is pretty much the same. I say pretty much. To me, they are the same. And if you have a different opinion, please comment below so other people know other opinions, because this is just mine. So they are similar in quality, and the price is where you see the difference. So you can get a lot more Arteza colors in a set than you can for the Zigs for the price. So I really like that. I think there's a lot of expensive things in our hobby, and so when I could find a good deal, I grab onto it. So that to me is my opinion on that. Again, if you already have the Zigs, I love them too. Like I said, same quality. So for sure, I think they're wonderful. And in fact, I don't show it on this card. I show it on the giraffe card that I did over at the Craft Galley channel, but I pulled in some Zig as well. So I had to mix because between the two sets that I have the whole color scheme. Now I'm hopeful that with the 96 set for Arteza, they would have every color that you would ever need, but I don't know. I only have the 48 set. So anyway, that's enough about the water brush markers. If you have any questions, please let me know. So I'm finishing up coloring my images here. And as far as the giraffe card goes, go check that out. I'm not going to show any of the coloring or the putting the card together for the giraffe card on this video. So that'll be its own video over at the Craft Galley channel. So, all right, I'm finishing up my coloring here. We're almost done. I'm just adding the final touches. I wanted to make all these colors really bright and bold, and I think I accomplished that. All right, so let's move on to why my magnetic mat from We Are Memory Keepers is so amazing. So you probably saw it in my haul video, but I have this new teal colored or aqua colored We Are Memory Keepers magnetic mat. That ruler above holding down my stencil is magnetic, and it is really strong. I also pulled out my strong magnet that I used with my Misty, and that's holding it down too. Now I'm not wasting tape. So it's holding it down. Those stencils are not shifting at all. So I really love that. But I do want to clarify something that someone recently said on the haul, and I thought it was a good idea too. However, let me explain. We thought that you could put your dies down on this magnetic mat and you wouldn't lose your dies. That's not the case. It is considered, and you're just watching me go through here. I'm showing you my stenciled out with some shimmer paste and glimmer paste. But it's not magnetic. It's sort of like the metal between a metal and a magnetic. So the rulers and the magnets, those are the things that are magnetic. So I just want to be clear about that in case you bought it under false pretenses. I didn't know that either until I was trying it out. So if that's confusing, let me know. All right, so I'm going to start putting together my first card here. I did fussy cut all my images out because I don't have coordinating dies for those. And I am going to place down my cards. Okay, so I separated these cards because I wanted to do something fun, but then realized one side was stitched with the hillside border in the middle and the other side was not, and I didn't like the way that looked. So I went to my stash and pulled out just random silver paper. This paper is pretty thin. It's not cardstock. And as I pressed it down from using the AdTech tape runner, you can see it kind of bubbles in the center. And I'm not okay with that because I'm going to kind of cover it with my images anyway. So that's fine. So I'm going to put down the turtle and the present, and I'm going to pop them up with some foam dots. And then they're going to kind of be the focal point in the center. Now to put my sentiment down, I took some blue glitter cardstock and I cut out Happy Birthday, and that's from Lawn Fawn's Scripty Word dies. So I have the stamp set and the dies, and I didn't need to use the stamp. Obviously, I just used the dies for that. Now on my other stenciled card base, or my background, I'm going to cut that out with the hillside border dies on both ends, and then I'm going to use my corner rounder punch to add a little bit of fun to this card. So I make sure to round the corners of the base and the card panel. So just remember that so it matches. And I'm just, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm pulling out stuff that's laying on my desk because I did it from other cards and it's left over. I cannot repeat what happened coming from Florida. I have a bag. If you saw my tour video, my craft room tour, I have a bag of stuff that I need to use, and I have to use it because it's just quality, cut out, already colored, etc. So I'm going to start doing that. So that's why you're going to see randomness come out on my cards. Here I'm going to add a final touch of some Nouveau glue dots. You'll see little hands in there too because Adie is kind of helping me with here she starts with the Nouveau glaze and decides she doesn't want to do it because she doesn't have the confidence. We'll work on it. So I finished off the Nouveau glaze there, and that's that card. So the inner circle here, the heart that's cut out with that silver stuff, or the gold glitter paste, that's in a different card that I mentioned. And then here I wanted to show you I got these over at Michael's. Now, why are these stamp sets, are these sentiments cool? Well, for one, they say some of the most amazing things, like balance, breathe deeply, life is beautiful. I love those sentiments. However, they're silicone, so they're not as quality as photopolymer. That doesn't bother me because if you use something like a Misty, you can get a great impression. They are intended to help you practice your calligraphy. So you would stamp those out and then practice your calligraphy over it, which I think is wonderful. But little do they know, I'm not in the business at the moment for the calligraphy, although I bought some pens. I'm in the business of finding great sentiments and great deals because they were like half the price. So I'm multi-using them, got them from Michael's, look around. They were really cheap. So I stamped out Grateful for You for that card, touched it up with some glitter paste, and now here's some still photos of all the cards. that'll do it for me. Thank you so much for stopping by, for crafting with me. Hopefully this video wasn't too quick. I wanted to get in a couple different backgrounds with you. Again, don't forget to head over to the Craft Galley channel so that you can check out how I finished off that giraffe card. And you can see that in the little thumbnail there at the bottom, what that looks like. So you'll see lots and lots of uses for this stamp set, which is always really useful. Okay, I'll list everything I used below. Don't forget to hit subscribe, find me on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.